Hello, everybody. Daniel Bagheri here. I'm the coordinator at Academia Express Immigration. I'm here once again with Megan. We're going to be discussing some of the benefits to the startup visa. This is, of course, a follow-up to our previous session we had with Megan. If you remember from previous weeks, I'm going to open the floor to Megan. So maybe Megan, you could introduce yourself and introduce Canada Startup Company, and we go from there.
Great, thanks, Daniel. So as Daniel mentioned, my name is Megan. I'm a partner at Canada Startup Company. Some people might recognize my face as the person who does all of the outreach and sales and marketing kind of activities. So if you do, hi and welcome back. And if you don't and you're new, welcome. It is great that you're here kind of listening to our conversation today. So yes, like Daniel mentioned, I am a venture partner at Canada Startup Company, and we are an integrated venture studio that helps immigrant entrepreneurs access Canada through the Startup Visa program. So we do all of the business development, we help with technology development, accounting, legal work, etc., incorporation, all of that great stuff, as well as help secure the letter of support needed to apply for work permit and permanent residency. So we work very closely with Daniel and the rest of the Academia Express team to help their clients get through the Startup Visa program in a way that is nice and painless, and in a way that provides them with a lot of support. So I'm really happy to be here today. Thanks, Daniel.
My pleasure. Thank you, Megan. And for those of you, if you haven't followed up or if you haven't watched our first video, I highly recommend it. You could probably find a link to it just at the bottom of this video. Very briefly, the Startup Visa is a visa whereby the Canadian government allows entrepreneurs or immigrants from abroad to create a business here in Canada, and through that business, if it's viable, they'll provide you with letter of support, and using that letter of support, you can apply for your PR or your work permit, and you can bring your family in here. So today what we're going to do, and Megan has kindly volunteered to be here with us, we're going to go over some of the benefits, discuss some of the more obvious, I guess some of the more obvious, but also some of the less obvious benefits to the startup program. And Megan is going to go through them. And then if you have any questions, or if you want any follow-up, you can always feel free to contact us. We'll be happy to meet with you, sit down with you, and discuss them a little bit more detail, essentially, because we don't have much time here. Nevertheless, we're going to try to cover as much as we can. So without further ado, Megan, let's start with number one. Can you just go over some of the benefits of the startup visa and working through the Canada Startup Company, for our audience? Maybe that'll be a great way for them to get to know the startup company and get to know the benefits that you guys provide to them too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am going to keep it more general, and we'll kind of get specific as we go through them. Mm-hmm. So I have 10 benefits today of the Startup Visa program. And so, Daniel, like you said, you asked me for number one, and I would say the first one is that there's no investment criteria required by the program. I mean, let's not say that there's no investment criteria. There is no formal investment criteria outlined by IRCP. We know that starting a business does require capital in one way or another. So yes, capital needs to come from somewhere. And that's why the Startup Visa program has venture capital and angel routes as well to kind of help with those startup costs. But yes, compared to other business immigration programs that have either high investment amounts, $200,000 to $600,000, the Startup Visa doesn't require that you put forth any dollar amount of capital into the company, which is great for a lot of clients, making it more of an affordable or economical option.
Right, and that's really important. I guess just to clarify, there is no minimum investment cost that the government requires you by law to be investing in Canada. Essentially, the money that you're spending goes into developing your business. And as long as the business is viable, as long as it can produce jobs in Canada, that's essentially what the government is looking for. Is that correct, Megan?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Great, lovely. Thank you so much. And that's really important. Um, and then, so I guess we can move on to number two. And what do you think would be the number two benefit to the startup company?
Yeah, so I would say the second benefit, I guess, of the startup visa program for clients or a group looking to bring their company or start a company in Canada would be the language requirements. So
Mhm.
the language requirements are relatively low compared to other options. The requirement is CLB 5. So I know it is, I guess, one step higher than some immigration programs, but it's also a lot lower than others. So it's a very accessible option for many people who might have the expertise, might have ran a startup before or a company, have either professional senior management experience that want to access Canada, want to do business, but might not have the strongest language requirements or skills. So I think that's really, really great that that provides an option as well to them.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And just to be clear, that's an equivalent of an IELTS level 5, I believe. And IELTS goes up to level 9. And if you can show, that you have general language abilities up to, scoring a 5 in your IELTS exam, in every category, of course, that will be sufficient. I mean, comparatively, for example, when we're looking at for like express entry, you would want 7 and above. So this is a very this is, like you said, really suitable to people who might be struggling a lot with the language abilities. However, the 5 is not necessary, in order for you to be able to just run the company, just a basic communication level. So yeah, it's completely understandable. Okay, well, what about the next one, Megan?
Yeah, so number 3 is that there is no formal experience required. So they're not looking, or IRCC is not making it a mandate that you have to have a certain education level or a certain experience. They're more so looking for people who are innovative, that can secure intellectual property and have a passion to drive a company forward in Canada and therefore create jobs for Canadians. So again, it is a little iffy when you say no experience required. So that is a
Right.
formal requirement by IRCC. However, running your own business and kind of having a startup in Canada would be extremely hard if you had no experience. So I know when we work with
Mhm.
clients, I know Daniel knows this, but for everybody else out there, we look for professional experience or senior management experience, startup experience, owning your own company. However, we do have a full integrated learning management system that runs well beyond the letter of support. So it runs about 40 weeks, covering multiple topics of starting a business in Canada, including employment law, accounting, legal. So that will get you comfortable in kind of understanding the Canadian business ecosystem, and give you that kind of experience or knowledge that you would need. So we're able to help supplement in that way.
Great. That's so. In other words, even though there's no formal experience required, you have your team that will be able to help foster those kind of skills that's necessary to develop a business in Canada.
Yes, absolutely. Not only do we have the learning management system with client webinars and resources on
Mhm.
a weekly basis, we also have a full team of experts in over 10 divisions within our company. So we have a full support team behind the clients and behind their company so they
Mhm.
feel completely supported by the right people moving their company into Canada.
Of course. Thank you, Megan. I guess we can move to the next one.
Yeah, so number 4, that brings us to the startup visa program is one of the shortest and most direct ways to permanent residency,
Mhm.
especially for people that do not qualify for express entry.
Right.
So I'm not going to go ahead here and say that the processing time is something crazy like 3 to 6 months. We're still looking at about 12 to 18 months to get PR, with
Mhm.
an overall kind of process working with us at 2 years. But if we're going to compare that to other permanent residency options, we're looking at 4 years for some of them. So it is definitely one of the most direct ways to PR.
Yeah, absolutely. And by comparison, let's say if a client comes through a student visa, normally what would happen, you would go study for a couple of years and then you would work for a year or two, and then you would apply for a PR. So through the startup visa, essentially once you get the company running, you got your letter of support, you got your visa, your work permit from the government, you're eligible to apply for the PR process, and that's yeah, that's a major benefit a lot of our clients look for when they go through the startup visa. So thank you for mentioning that. I guess we could move on to the next one relatively quick. We got 5 more, correct, Megan?
Yeah, so we're on number 5 now. So the
Great.
5th one, and it kind of ties in nicely with what you were just saying, Daniel,
Mhm.
and that's the startup visa program provides you with permanent residency and a work opportunity.
Right.
And that's huge because I know in Canada, we do see a lot of immigrant unemployment and underemployment, and sometimes it can take a while to either get your qualifications up to what the Canadian standard would be or the equivalency, or just it's hard to access a job due to language requirements. We're also in a global pandemic now, so it is definitely hard. So coming to Canada as a permanent resident not only gives you and your family that option, but it also makes sure and secures that you have a job that you're in control of, right? So you get to work on an idea that you love, that you're passionate about on your own terms. So I think that's a super amazing component of the program.
Yeah, and I guess you shouldn't go without saying that. And I'm sure we're going to cover this in the next few themes. But you can bring your family over with, and your family will be provided with an open work. Well, if you got the PR, they could work here as basically as a PR, part of the as part of your application. So that also could help quite a bit. But I'm not going to go into that yet because I know you're going to cover this too, Megan, for the next one. So number 7.
Number 6.
Number 6, sorry.
Yeah, don't worry. So number 6 is that the startup visa is actually one of the cheaper options if we're going to look at business immigration. Because there's no high investment criteria, it does make it one of the cheaper options compared to other business programs or business immigration programs.
Right. Great. And then you mentioned that that your company is working on a chart that you're developing. Maybe we can maybe once we have that, we can publish that if it's available. Well,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
go ahead.
we can make that available to you for sure. We would love for you to have that.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. And then number 7 would be, again, I talked a little bit about the family, the family or family being part of the application. Maybe you can expand on that.
Yeah, so number 7 is that you can bring your family. So you can bring your spouse or common law partner and any dependent children under the age of 22, and they will all get their permanent residency in Canada. So that is a super, super benefit of the program, and makes it quite easy for the whole family to kind of have the benefit of coming to Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I have to mention here too, especially with the common law, we have to still show that it's a genuine, especially when you have a common law partner, you have to go through that additional process of showing that this is a genuine relationship. Of course, once that's all proven and you can show that this is a common law, or if you have a family and they're part of your application with your children who are under 21, they'll be accompanying you under the same application, which is tremendous, right? I mean, you have one person applying through the startup visa, and then the entire family get to travel with them and get their PR just about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year. But yeah, that's a major benefit. Thank you for bringing it up, Megan. Maybe we can move on to number 8, I believe.
Number 8, yes.
Okay,
and
great.
that's there's no net worth requirement beyond the settlement funds outlined by IRCC. So you don't have to kind of prove or put forth documents that you have a certain net worth. I know some other business immigration programs will say net worth 600,000, 500,000, and you don't need to prove that with the startup visa. And I think that's also great because it makes the program accessible to a wider range of entrepreneurs, right? Many entrepreneurs don't have the capital themselves, and I think that program recognizes that. That's why there's a difference between an entrepreneur and investor, and usually you have to be a successful entrepreneur in order to be both. So I think that is excellent as well, and definitely makes it more accessible.
So essentially, the criteria here for the government is that they're looking to see how good of a business you have, how much employment you can provide, rather than how much money you're investing in, like, let's say, a different company or whatnot, but rather the business model itself. And that's the most important thing that they're looking at, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So they're looking for intellectual property, they're looking for innovation.
Mhm.
They want to see people coming here to grow a company and therefore create more jobs. So that's really what the program's about. It's not about kind of picking apart like what's your education, what's your qualifications.
Yeah.
Yes, there are qualifications for Startup Visa, and again, as Daniel mentioned, you can refer back to our last video where we kind of talked about those kind of basic items.
Mhm.
But in terms of Startup Visa, it's really just bringing great entrepreneurs and innovation to Canada.
That's great. Fantastic. So I guess we can move to number, is this our final number 10?
No, we're on number 9.
We're on number 9. Okay, sorry, go ahead. So number 9,
Yes.
one less. Okay.
Yeah, the number 9 is that the Startup Visa program is a federal immigration program. So
Mhm.
this means that you can live and work anywhere in Canada except for Quebec. And that's because Quebec runs their own separate immigration programs. And, you know, this is really great compared to other business immigration programs, because let's say some of your group wants to live in one part of Canada and some wants to live in another, or in different cities. Or you think you want to live somewhere and you get here and realize it's not what you thought and you want to move. So it allows you to kind of transition all over Canada,
Mhm.
which is extremely nice compared to the provincial programs that restrict you to the boundaries of that one province or even to a certain city.
Yeah, like like many of the PMP programs, that you're just limited to that particular province for some time. Just to clarify, when Megan here is talking about the group, where she's referring to the incubator group, of course, under the startup visa, you have the option of forming a company as a group, up to 4 people. And we covered that in the previous video as well. So within this group, like Megan was saying, people have the option to choose and pick and choose where they want to live in Canada, as long as that company is running. And as long as they can prove that that company is running, is making it's churning over a profit, and it's a viable business, you're really free to live anywhere in Canada. Is that correct, Megan?
Yes, exactly. And I think the COVID pandemic has shown us more than ever that we can work together and not be together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could be in one area of Canada or the other and have headquarters set up in one area, and you can kind of transition in and out. You can work from home, you can work virtually from basically wherever, right? So we've seen that business is not confined to the boundaries of an office.
That's right.
So I think the program also understands and respects that as well.
Excellent. And of course, Canada Startup Company and our company here is we're going to be there for you guys. If you do decide to go through this route and you want to work with us, we'll be able to assist you with all that into details, like essentially about running a business in Canada. Because of course, I know there's a lot of things, a lot of details that you need to cover. So maybe in this last portion, you can talk a little bit about that as well, right, Megan? Bringing us our
and
final.
that brings yes, that brings me to number 10. And that's in the Startup Visa program, you have a whole support team behind you.
Right.
So you have Daniel and his entire team at Academia Express, which are super awesome at immigration and answering any questions about permanent residency and work permit. And you have myself and the rest of our team at Canada Startup Company that helps with business development and understanding business in Canada, understanding tax laws and accounting and legal and tech development, hiring. And we're all here for you to support you through that process. So it not only streamlines it and kind of makes it easy and painless, but it makes it an enjoyable and fun experience because you've got the right direction kind of coming to the country.
Right, and that's really important, that you have support here, and that, our company, we like, and Canada Startup Company, we like to bring in, motivated individuals with ideas, with innovation to Canada, and that's what the Canadian government wants as well. So, if you have any questions, if you want to work with us, please feel free to reach out. We'd love to sit down with you and talk about the details of the program. But nevertheless, is there any closing remarks you want to make, Megan?
No, I think we've covered a lot today. At this point, anything that would come forward would be a very specific question on one of the points we touched upon. So if it's an immigration question, of course, reach out to Daniel and his team at Academia Express. If it's a business development kind of question regarding startup visa, please reach out to myself or any of the team members at Canada Startup Company, and we'd be happy to help you.
Lovely. Thank you very much. And then thank you everybody for joining us. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much, Megan, for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much, Daniel. It's been great.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you guys later.